Hello, welcome back to Country Boy Fisherman Zero's YouTube channel. Today we're back, as the title says, Catfishing 101. This is going to go over everything you need to get started on catfishing. What I use, my experience, again, this is my opinion. I don't want to get no hate mail in the comments. Again, I cannot fish everybody's area, so I'm just going to give out some information in general that might help a newbie start out that won't be so scary like it was for me. I had a friend of mine, actually JTK, fishing outdoors. He actually helped me out, started out fishing, so I knew about what I was getting myself into. So I'm doing it for y'all on my YouTube channel. Let's get into it though. Alright, first thing you're going to see if you go in any box store. Again, apologize for the heating pad in the back, but my back's a little hurting today, so you might see me lean on it a little bit. I apologize in advance. But anyways, if you go to any big box store like Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, if y'all even have one of those, I think they went out of business. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Walmart, any kind of big box store that has fishing supplies, you may get a little overwhelmed. I mean, you got hooks, you got line, you're like, where do I start? Then you got poles, and you got line, you got reels, and then you're like, what do I do? Again, in this video, we're going to go over all that. Like I said, it might be a little lengthy. That's why I'm doing it on YouTube and not my TikTok channel. Again, my TikTok is the same thing as my YouTube channel logo is. Country Boy Fisherman Zero. Go ahead and follow me if you want to. I go live there more than I do here because they don't like me playing music on YouTube. So, yeah, there's that. So, anyways, here we go. What we're going to do today is I'm going over this. And again, first of all, let me bring out one for you. I'm going to give you two examples. All right. And this is why I say it might be confusing. If you ever go to a big box store, let me get out the other one out too to show you what I'm talking about. As a newbie, you may not know what I'm talking about. You're like, what? But I promise you after this video, if you watch it all the way through, see if I find what I'm looking for. Here it is. You will see what I'm talking about. All right. Got them all laid out for you. All right. One is if you go to a big box store and then you'll see line. People's like, well, you need fishing line, which is true. Can't catch a fish without line. But then you're like, oh, well, what do I need? I mean, I just got some here that I use regularly. Here is 20 pound mono, 20 pound mono. And its diameter is 0.19. Remember that, 0.19, 20 pound mono. Again, it's clear. I use that for a leader line for my bait caster. Again, I know y'all ain't gonna be able to see this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and read it to you. But this right here is braided, 60 pound braid. I got this really, really cheap. It's the only reason why I bought it. I bought it for like $2 for like 1,000 yards of it. So, I mean, you couldn't beat that. But it's 60 pound braided and it's 36 millimeters wide or in diameter. That means the line itself is 36 millimeters wide. All right. And then, of course, you got what I normally use. 30 pound braid. Again, braided line. That's what I use for my main line. And, of course, you probably can't read that little, 12 inch diameter. So it's 0.012 inches. So it means this is actually smaller than the mono. We'll get into this, why this is the most important. This line's got higher pound test. It can handle a lot more weight. Almost 10 pounds more weight. But it's smaller line than this right here. That's 20 pound mono. So we're going to get into this, why that is. All right. And then, of course, finally, my leader line for my catfish. I use the big old boy 50 pound mono. Again, clear. It is 0.29 mono. Again, it's the same diameter as almost my 60 pound braid is. But there you go. That's what I also use for my leader. So we're going to get into that too. And then, of course, you got mono, you got braid. And then, of course, to throw in more confusion, you have fluorocarbon line. yeah. And like I said, this is here is 20-pound fluorocarbon, and it's 0.18 millimeters wide in diameter on the line. So it's actually smaller than the 20-pound mono is, and it's actually stronger. So again, all these lines, that would be very confusing. Some people would be like, well, what do I need? What do I use? What do I need to buy? And for that, I will say one thing. Let me get a fan on here real quick. Hopefully it don't make the video bad. The number one thing about it I can say, honestly, is you got to figure out your area. You got to research it. For example, I'll go by where I fish at. News River, North Carolina. Tar River, North Carolina. Catania River, North Carolina. The average weight is what I go by, not the state record. The state record is 121 pounds. State flathead is 78 by taller bars, currently. That law of averages says, I'm not saying you won't catch the state record, but the chances are it's going to be very, very hard, or a once in a lifetime event. And again, after this video, you'll need to be confident that you will not need what most people use. I've seen anglers get totally wrong. And that is, excuse me, what do you need? I have learned that, depending on what you need, like for example, Neuse River was my main river out here in North Carolina. The Neuse River produces around 20 to 40 pound catfish. That's the average big size that comes out of this river. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying that there's no bigger catfish in that river. I'm just saying the average catfish that's caught is 20 to 40 pounds. With the occasional, like 50 pounds, they say, around this area is rare to be caught. So that tells you about what you need. So, again, the bigger the line, which means like this 60-pound braided right here, will not cast as far because it's thicker than, let's say, my 30-pound braid. So with that being said, you want to go with light as possible. So that's why I always use 30-pound braid. Because again, and then of course I just add 50-pound leader line. The reason is braid has no stretch. When braid, think of braid as a nylon rope. It gives absolutely none. In other words, when you pull on it, it does not give. It will cut your fingers if you've ever done that before. Mono is a little bit more forgiving. Mono stretches. If you've ever been catfishing, they strike really, really hard. When they grab that bait and they snatch it, that's when mono comes in. Plus, mono is more abrasive, resistant to their teeth and everything. So that's why you can use it. Plus, 50-pound mono doesn't cast that good, but 30-pound braid does. So you can get the best of both worlds, in my opinion, by doing 50-pound mono. Plus, if your fish is a little bit bigger than you expected, maybe 60 pounds or so, that mono will be like a suspension. It will stretch a little bit before it breaks. So like 50 pounds, it will really stretch before, and it will almost go to 60 before it actually snaps. Again, you won't see that on a scale or anything, but it'll actually stretch a little bit before it actually, pops and breaks the line. So, and again, of course, if you do use the drag the right way, you will not have to worry about that at all. So, again, I use 30-pound braid because, again, braid casts further. And for me personally, again, I'm not against mono. Well, I am. I don't like it, but mono, to me, you got to redo it every 3-4 months. It depends on how much you fish. And just re-spool it. And to me, it's a pain in the butt, to be honest. Doing all that. I work a lot of hours. I don't have time to do all that. And mono lasts about 3 months. Braid, I can get it by with 2 to 3 years. So with that being said, definitely think about that for a minute. And choose your selection. Like, go by, I would say, in your state, say, what is the average catfish cost weight? And then go by that kind of line. Like I said, I know every state's different. Some people's got, like, bigger catfish than I do. And then also, what are you going to target? Are you targeting trophy size? Or, like, 100-pound catfish plus? Or are you doing like me, who eat catfish for food? Now, if you're going for catfish for food, let me explain. Catfish, anything above 20 pounds, even professional anglers, I've asked them this. In fact, I know a few anglers that are professional anglers. They do a charter business, and they will not let anybody keep anything over 20 pounds for this very reason. Anything above 20 pounds, the fish tastes like mud. I mean, the taste is not good. It's not a good quality. It tastes bitter. It tastes bland, and it's not sweet, and stuff like that. So, by always means, you always got to remember that. So, catfishing, you want to do that. Again, I don't never keep more than 20-pound fish anyway. So, again, 30-pound braid works perfect for me because that gives me a little extra, plus my 50-pound mono. And like I said, anything bigger, I really don't care about because I couldn't even handle it because, like I said, I got a bad back anyway. So I ain't too sure I could even pull in a 50-pound catfish. So I would rather line break on me than to break my rod or reel or something like that. So, again, now you know why mono is being used as a leader line. Again, another thing is, on your line. Depending on your river, like I said, if you live out there by Mississippi River, I don't know what to tell you because y'all got some rapids going on. Here, I use a 5-ounce lead weight. They come in different things. Okay, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Again, this right here is another 5-ounce coin sinker. I really am liking these right here. 5-ounce coin sinkers because they're just easier to hold than these little roll around things. Plus, when these fall in the river, they stick in the river. So I like these a little bit better. You'll need those, and of course, I've got all the way up to, I think my 10-ounce weights, or I think one of them is on the actual rod. But I got up to 10-ounce weights. These are 8-ounce lead sinkers, coin sinkers. Again, you will have to go by your river. Sometimes my rivers are fast, sometimes my rivers are slow. It depends on the river that day. So, with that being said, what I always use, I recommend to start off with, if I can get one out, is this right here, an 8-aught circle hook, 8/0 circle hook. Now, you might say, why? This will catch you up to 30 or 40-pound catfish. It will also catch you 1 to 2 pound catfish. I know. I have used the same hook and caught a 1-pound catfish with it in the river. So I can tell you right now, these hooks will catch. Now, if you're like me, you're always losing them on logs and stuff. Like you heard, I got a big bulk section of them. I buy them in bulk, like by the hundreds. And it's a lot cheaper that way too. So, another thing people are going to be bugging you about when you go in that store. Well, what do you want? Do you want a spin reel, which is this right here? For all the newbies who may not know what a spin reel is, the way you cast it is you hold. I can't really do it good. Is you hold this line to this rod, and then you flip open this bell right here, and that will cast the bait the spinning reel. And then you just, when you're getting ready to sling it, you just let it go with your finger. And then this casts it. Again, this here has 30-pound braid of 130 yards, which is more than enough. Not a big fan of the small handle, but then again, this is more my bluegill setup. I'm just using this as an example for the spin reel. All right, moving right along. And then, of course, you can always use these right here, bait casters. Now, some are bigger, some are smaller. This is a Lewis Classic Spool Speed Spool bait caster. Now, these right here are a 300 series. They will handle up to a 30-pound catfish. Pretty dang easy. Again, works for me. Again, still 30-pound mono. This one right here, I actually use for bluegill fishing only. That's why it's only got like 20-pound mono, and it's got like a, little 8 circle hook. I'm sorry, number 8 hook for a bluegill. And again, I'm gonna do a video about how to, rig your stuff up for a bluegill as well too, in another video. But that there is what you can call a bait caster. Way you cast them is you hold this spool, and then you push that button down right there, and then when you push this button right here down, it drops the line, as you will probably see it moving, and then when you do that, it pops back up and you're ready to retrieve. Again, that's what I use sometimes, and the spinning reel. Okay, so with that being said, with all I just said, which one's better, the spinning reel or the bait caster? Again, y'all know my last video, bait casters versus spinning reel. I have seen no difference in the bait casters' casting abilities. I mean, I can cast a bait caster about as good as I can a spin reel. I mean, if you saw my video on that prior to this, you know that, I think it was like 2 yards difference, which is 6 feet in feet-wise for the people who live in the United States. It was like 6 feet difference. In fishing, that is not significant. I think, and like I did use one rod. I used this rod actually for the test for the spin reel. This is actually one I used, and I used that bait caster y'all just saw. And this right here is an 8-foot rod, and the other one, the white one you just saw, has a 7-foot rod. So, yeah, 7-foot rod. So again, about a foot difference, but it's only 2 yards difference. So yeah, again, I'm not a big fan of of that, of the myth of saying, oh, bait casters cast further. Not in my opinion. And I've asked a couple of other anglers, and they have said all the exact same thing. That, to be honest, they said the same thing, that the spinning reels, they can cast further. So, I guess it is operator error. I told y'all in the last video, if it had been a little bit different, maybe I would have gone and put the bait caster on the 8-foot rod, but I wasn't going to do all that trouble just for like 2 yards. I mean, different. I mean, remember, I've casted this 3 or 4 times to get an average. And out of the whole average of 3 times each, there was only 2 yards difference. So, yeah. To be honest, the best thing I can tell y'all to do is what you feel comfortable with. If you feel comfortable more using one of these, then go for it. Get you a pin, 5,000 with a big ball on it so you can grip it really good. And just, have fun with it. If you, like I said, if you're just out for food, feeding your family, again, these right here will hold up to 30-pound. You look for a Baitcaster 300 series. That's what these are. Now, the ones that are bigger, like the 300 to 400. Oh, I'm sorry. I told y'all wrong. I just thought about that. This is actually a 200 series. But, again, they will still hold, a 30-pound. I looked it up online. These things will hold up around 30-pound, the 30-pound catfish. If you set the line right, again, this is 30-pound braid. This is what I had when I put it up there. Usually for bluegill, I use 20 pounds. But, hey, it's what I had available for free. So, I use that. It's 130 yards up there, which is plenty of line. 150 yards, you will never be spooled by a catfish. I mean, I've used 130 yards to catch a 10-pound catfish, and I ain't never had one even half the spool gone. And that was even casting. I mean, I cast, 30, 40 yards, and still I've never had one, spool me out. So, again, 130 yards like this right here, that is more than enough. So with that being said, it's more or less what you're comfortable with. Again, at night, I'm always worried I'm not going to be able to see the bait, and I throw it, it's not going to be able, so I always try to go with that. With my sponsors, Get Hooked, that is one of my sponsors. But with CatchAFever.com's rods, they're bait casting rods, so I may end up just using one of those kind of bait casters. And just use them for the daytime, because I usually go fishing in the mornings anyways. I rarely go at night. But again, I do know how to cast them at night. I just feel more comfortable with the spin reels. So again, it's a preference. Go with what you want. Again, 30-pound mono, 30-pound braid. Again, it's all about how you feel. I would say try both of them and say, hey, how do you feel? I do know that the braid will cast a little bit further because braid is smaller in diameter than mono is compared to pound for pound. So with that being said, I would always say, go with what's real comfortable. Again, I use spin reels. I use a bait caster for my bluegill stuff because it can get me right in that tight area that I need, the bluegill beds and stuff like that, which I'll go over in my next video. And you're going to see why when I did my video about the bait caster versus spin reel accuracy and all that good stuff. You'll see that. I got a lot of videos to do. I just ain't had time to do them right now, so I apologize. But again, it's all about, preference. Again, you do not need more than 30-pound braid, in my opinion, or mono, whichever you prefer. I'm not telling you what to use. It is like I said, set this drag. What I do, Country Boy does, I set my drag around, if it's 30-pound braid, I usually set around 3 to 4 pound drag. 4 pounds, which means that fish has got to pull 4 pounds. At 4 pounds of pressure, this line will start doing that. And then when you start reeling it in, he just pulled out all that line, you just reel back in. So again, even if you caught in a 60-pounder, at 4 pound drag, you will wear him out even with 30-pound braid. And for me, it's all about the fight. It's not about, horsing them in and stuff like that. I would rather fight the fish and say, hey, I caught like a 80-pound catfish on 30-pound braid than to say, oh, I caught an 80-pound catfish off of a 100-pound braid. You see where I'm going with that? It doesn't sound as impressive. I mean, it's still a nice fish, but it will not sound as impressive to your friends when you say, hey, I caught a 30-pound, 80-pound catfish with only 30-pound braid. Sounds a lot better than I caught, a 80-pound catfish off of a 100-pound braid. They'll be like, well, of course, you just reeled them in, like you horsed them in. To me, it's all about the fight in the sport. That's just me. So, I mean, with that being said, and of course, you need a good bait knife. I use just plainly a little girl. This is an old bait knife that I got right here that I use. I got a little sharpener that I carry with me right here. It's a little diamond sharpener that I use that I keep them sharp. And that helps me cut the mullet, the eel, and whatever kind of bait I use up. And of course, if you're going to be fishing, especially with kids, like I go to a lot of Get Hooked to Kids fishing events, make sure you get some of these. What these are grabbers. You basically pull it down, put the fish's mouth in there, and then you release it. And it will hold the fish. I got these little hooks right here so that I can put a scale on and weigh the fish if he's too busy moving. So that's why I got these. These zip ties are rated at 75 pounds each. So unless I catch a fish that weighs more than that, I don't think my scale would even weigh that high. I mean, my scales only go to 100 pounds. So, yeah. Well, I think 110 is my highest scale. I got 2 scales, and the highest one goes up to like 110. So, yeah, I wouldn't even know it anyways. But anyways, when it comes down to the scales, again, get you a set of scales, especially if you're going to use it for food. That way you'll know, like for me, I've learned for every 10 pounds of catfish, you'll get about 3 pounds of edible fillets. So, you know that from a 20-pound catfish, you'll get about 6 pounds of meat from it. So, again, it's perfectly, that's a good way how I gauge it. I've learned that 30% of the weight is usually accurate for me. So, that usually comes up to about, like I said, 3%. I mean, about 3 pounds per 10 pounds. So, or you can take the weight, let's say it weighed 7 pounds. Let's say that. You subtract that and say subtract 30%, and that would give you the actual, the weight of how much meat you'll get off that fish. to find out if it's really worth your time or not. Again, I don't have it with me right now. It's in my kitchen. But I've got a electric fillet knife, so definitely use that because it makes it a lot faster. I mean, I can fillet a catfish, even at 10 pounds, in about 2 or 3 minutes. So not quick, fast, and in a hurry. Throw him right there and throw him right in the freezer. He's ready to go. So I mean, I hope I helped you all. I know this video has been like 25, 30 minutes long. I hope it ain't been too long. But those right there, again, it's all your preference. I would start off with, like I said, a number 8/0 circle hook. They'll catch from 1 to 30 pounds. I know a lot of people eat. I mean, I've asked anglers, and I know a few anglers that will not let you keep anything over 20 pounds because of that very reason too. Because I've asked multiple anglers, and I can tell you right now, I've ate a 3-pound catfish and I've ate a 10-pound catfish, and the 3-pound tasted better. So I mean, as they get bigger, the taste quality gets sorrier. So again, that's why my limit is around 20, 25 pounds. I'm done. Like, I will not eat anything past that. So if I caught a 40-pounder, yeah, take a picture, throw them right back in the water, let them grow up, let them reproduce. Because I'm after the smaller ones. So that would be my opinion. But I hope I've helped y'all out a little bit tonight. Again, I'm sorry I got a little cold, a little congestion, so I'm sorry about the noise. But y'all take care. I will see y'all on the next video. Again, if you got any questions, hit them in the comments below. I will see y'all on the next video when I get time to do it. Y'all take care and God bless.